back to my podcast episode. So, my name is Nishelle, if you're new here, and I travel around Europe quite a bit and also a bit outside. This is one of my first trips in a long time that's outside of Europe. I went to the Middle East, I went to Jordan for 5 days, and it was such an amazing experience. I don't know where to begin because it was such a cool place. I have to say, I was pretty tense before going there. I thought it would be very difficult to get around it transport wise because I did hear that most people were going either by tours or hiring a car or a driver, and the public transport wasn't very reliable from what I heard of earlier. And I did find a few like travel groups and friends who I asked advice from who've already been there. And I don't think I know anyone else who did solo traveling on such a budget way as I was doing. So I was pretty nervous, and I thought, in worst case scenario, if I couldn't do it in a budget way, I would just do a tour in the end of it. The tours are pretty expensive, I have to say. It was like 300 to 500 euros for like 2 days. That did everything very fast. Like, you had a few hours in Petra, then they took you Vazirem in the night, and then I think that's the next day. So it was everything really fast, and it didn't seem very appealing to me. I felt like I wanted my own time to explore, and I would be very tired in this way. So let me give you a cut down of my itinerary. My ideal plan, and I think if you can, it would be great for you as well if it works out. An ideal plan for 5 days would have been to, because I landed in Amman at around like 10 a.m. and I wanted to go directly first down south to Wadi Rum, because I would just do the night there. I did not care so much about spending the day over there because I had done camel rides before, I had done desert jeeps before, so I was not very interested in doing those things. I mainly wanted to be stargazing, and I wanted to have the dinner under the sand, which they prepare the meat in this way, and I really was curious about that. And I wanted to like live in the Bedouin tents and have this kind of style, I think, because I've not done a very Bedouin kind of camping before. I think I've done it in Dubai before, but it was not of the sort, so it would be really amazing. And I heard the stars are spectacular in the desert because there's no pollution, so it's really nice. And this is something I could not do because I was actually quite nervous to do it alone. I did not know how many people were there, and if there were women, and if I was the only girl over there amongst many men, and especially if it was gonna be like, because normally the camps are quite far away from the main center village, so it can be very isolating, and I did not want to put myself in a situation. Like, I did think I might take the risk and just try it out, you know, it's gonna be safe if people are going and stuff like that, but I just decided against it last minute, and I'm really glad I did, because I think it can be very dodgy to do alone as a woman. I would not think it's that safe, and I will tell why, because of my later on experiences. I explain it, but yeah, so I canceled on this and I just stayed in Amman the first night. It was still very nice because I loved Amman. It's just a beautiful city, and I went first things first on a walking tour because this is a must do. And the guide was really interesting. He was a very funny guy and very jovial. He did not know much about the history. I feel like he did not explain the history and, you know, biblical meanings or anything like this. He was just more focused on the market life, the food, more of the culture and stuff. But it was really amazing. I still loved it, and the tour was very unexpected because it just started off with like trying different foods, because it was like a bit like a food tour, and then it went on to threading. Like, I think because threading is not very common in countries like US and Canada and Mexico and stuff, so he was showing us how they thread their eyebrows and their this part for a man, I guess, like above the cheekbones. And he was making us do it as well. And basically on the tour was one Mexican couple, one Canadian older woman, and then there was me. So we were the people on this tour, and we were all getting our eyebrows threaded. It was really hilarious. And then, yeah, we were trying all the food. We were trying some nuts. They had beautiful stalls of spices. So the market was very interesting. I really loved it, and very, very chaotic as well. And in the evening, with this group itself, I went ahead to see the citadel, which is quite nice. It comes included in the Jordan Pass. So if you don't know, I have to say what the Jordan Pass is. It's very important. I got my Jordan Pass for 75 JD, which is around 103 euros. And I think it's so important because normally your visa itself, and everybody needs a visa, it's visa on arrival, very easy. But everybody needs it, and it costs around 40 JD. And then Petra itself costs like 55 JD for like 2 days, which is what I chose. So with the Jordan Pass, you already get quite a bit of like discounts if you only do 2 things. But if you did more, like if you go to Wadi Rum, if you go to other places, you get discounts as well. So, or not discounts, but it's free once you buy the pass. So that's really great. I would really recommend this. I think there's no point of going without this. It's so important. And yeah, so with the Jordan Pass, we could also go to the Citadel as well. It was quite nice there. And nothing very spectacular, but just like Roman ruins. And I think, yeah, it's just a lot of Roman ruins in this place. It was interesting. And then in the evening, we went to the main city center, and we had like a really nice rooftop restaurant where we tried some tea. And we also had a lot of really nice food. I had the kabsa, which I really loved, but the portions are massive. Like I could barely finish 1/3 of it. It was so massive, but delicious. And also things are quite cheap. Like the food that I had, this kabsa was around like 2 JD, which is, I don't know, 3 euros or something like that. It was so cheap. And they had the best slushies. I loved it. I had so many that I got a toothache in the night, so that was on me. But it was amazing. So food is really cheap, and also the taxis are very cheap as well. Like especially you have to make sure they have a meter, because if they don't have a meter, they can rip you off. But when there's a meter and it's working, you can get around the city in like 2 or 3 JD, which is really cheap. And I think the best is also an Uber or a Kareem. And yeah, you can get all on the city at a very good rate. It's just that you need to have internet, and I did not buy a SIM card or internet or anything like this because I will only be there for a few days, and I didn't think it's worth it. So this is where my first problem comes in, is that in the end of this evening in Amman, it was getting like 9 p.m. And what's unique, I think, for me at least in Amman, is that you see a lot of men on the streets, but there aren't many women somehow. Like I think women mostly stay indoors. I don't know, but I just saw majority, like at least 90% men wherever I was. So it was like getting late in the night, and they were like catcalling in a friendly way. It wasn't like really, I wasn't really scared or anything like this. But my companion, so the couple, they already left because their Uber arrived before mine. And then the woman, the elder woman who was with me, she had to leave by her car to pick up her son, so she had to leave. So it was just me now in the middle of the road, and I felt like really isolated, and it was full of guys, and they were like really, they were catcalling a lot, and I was like, even though it's not scary, I was kind of feeling like somehow targeted, and I was panicking a bit. And my Uber was coming, but I was connected to the Wi-Fi of the restaurant, so I couldn't find my Uber, and I had to stand there, and I was getting quite panicky. But suddenly these guys were catcalling me. They just changed, and they suddenly became so protective and brotherly. And they were like, don't worry, everything will be fine. And then they kind of like give me their hotspot. They found my Uber, they spoke to the guy in Arabic, and they helped me like get in, and they were like, get home safely. So I feel like really the people are really nice there. Like from all the locals I have met, I've got the nicest feeling. And they do talk a lot, they do flirt a lot, but it's never harmful in my opinion. Like when I was there, I generally never really felt unsafe with them. I thought that if I was ever in danger and I told them I'm uncomfortable, they would help me out for sure. Like I don't feel nervous there at all. Actually, I really love the locals there. They have such a nice feeling about them, and they're very hospitable people. I think the locals are what won me over the most in Jordan. Like everything is amazing there, but the locals just make it a little extra special somehow. But yeah, I love them. They were really nice and helpful, and I got home safely. The hostel I was staying at was called Batuta Hostel. It was also super nice. They gave me a lot of tips, like especially like which bus station is the nearest to me, or like just generally how the place works, and not to like go for the Wadi Rum 5 euro camps. They're not really reliable. So they kind of told me like what I should and shouldn't do in the place. So that was nice. And the other thing is I have to recommend one taxi driver. I will put his Instagram here, but this was the best taxi driver. Really, he helped me out loads. And whenever I was arriving in Amman, he would like be at the taxi thing for me. He was not overcharging, he was literally undercharging me, and I was wanting to pay. And also in the morning, he dropped me to the airport as well when I had to leave. So just everything, he was really so hospitable, and really I felt safe with him, and it was very nice. So I would really recommend this taxi driver as well. And apart from this, the next day, now we're on day 2. So Amman was over, it was great, and I had a nice time seeing the whole city. So day 2 and 3 was where I spent in Petra. It takes so I went in the jet bus, and I went at 6:30 a.m. It was really fun. I took a taxi to the place, to the jet bus stop in Abdali, and there were loads of other people as well. I bought my ticket online, but you can totally buy it in the office as well, or on the bus also, I remember. So I bought it. Yeah, I bought it just going there. And keep in mind that I bought all the tickets last minute. Like nothing was planned, nothing was in days in advance. So things are quite available, and there are 2 buses normally that go to Petra at 5 minutes apart basically. So it's really easy to get there. I was there at 6:30 in the morning, and I reached Petra around 10:30, which is where most of the crowd kind of starts, because most tour buses reach around this time as well. So it can get more crowded from here. And I just left my bag actually at one of the stalls inside the Petra tourism area. Like they have a lot of shops with like outfits and scarves and a lot of things like that. So I left one of my bags there. Normally you can leave it there and they charge you about 3 JD. But this guy who I left it with, he was so sweet, and he just kept it for free for me. It was very nice of him. So I left it there, and then I went inside to walk through the Petra. And the walk is really, really long. So I did not realize how, I hope it's continuing, but I did not realize how long the walk inside Petra is. It's very, very crazy big, and it can be really hot. That's why I think going in July and August is a difficult time, because when I went in June, it was like 27, 28 degrees, up to 30 max, but it gets really hot, and it's very intense. You can see my tan. I've tanned like crazy, but it was very hot inside. The walk is quite long, and the first 1 kilometer is actually for me the most difficult, because this is the one where everybody is like pouncing on you to get into their horse, or giving you ideas for like an excursion and all of this stuff. So this gets quite intense to keep saying no all the time. So the camel or the horse ride in the first kilometer, that is free, but you always have to pay a tip. And I saw online people were like paying a tip of like 10 JD, and I was like, I would not pay so much for like a 1 kilometer walk. But I realized as I kept saying no, and they kept negotiating with me, they were going to as low as like 2 JD. So they were really able to go very low if you want to take this ride. On the first day I chose not to. I didn't really care for it. On the second day I did, and I will tell you that story very soon, because that was quite very, very intense thing. But going on from here, so yeah, first day Petra, I walked in, it was beautiful. I luckily met another solo traveler as well, so we kind of like paired up first for a while, and we took each other's photos. And just the treasury is insane. Like, I don't know how to explain, but when you see it, you just know you have to be there. Like, it's spectacular. It's something else. Like when you see it in photos, when you're in person there, it's just so magical. And it's just like, how is this real? Like the whole place just feels like it's unreal. And once you get to the main treasury, there are loads of like camels there, loads of Bedouin tribe people who want to like ask you for a camel ride or take you to a hike or a view. I would say generally if you are like quite sporty, I think you have to be, because the hikes are quite long. It does take a long walk to go to the monastery, up to the monastery, but you definitely don't need a guide for this, because everybody does it themselves. The guides always push and say that they will take you then it's 3 hours and no one else can do it, but it's not true. Everyone can go by themselves, so you can do a walk. It takes about like, yeah, I think it takes about 2 hours ish, I would say. It's quite a long hike, but it's doable. It's really nice. There are lots of steps. If you are not as sporty or fit, then I think they do have like donkeys that take you up there. I think it costs around 20 JD, 30. I have not negotiated, so I do not know the real price, but I just walked it. You just need water, that's important, and you just go up there. And then they actually, I think, total of at least 5 major hikes. So there is also another hike that goes to the place of high sacrifice, where apparently this is the holy place, like the high place, where the animal was sacrificed, like a ram or a lamb. And there's a special area where kind of the blood leaks out, and I think it was the pagans, I'm not sure which religion, but they took the blood in their hands. It was the Nebuites. Yeah, this is the people who made the Petra treasury area. They take the blood in their hands and put it on this Nebonite king or god statue. And this was quite common in that time, I guess. And then they eat the animal. But it was a very interesting story and very interesting, like, religion at the time. And what I did not know was Petra has over 3,000 caves apparently, and the Bedouins actually sleep in the caves, and they all know each other. Like, I spoke to a few Bedouin boys on the first day. They were really cute. They were quite tiny, like maybe 13 to 16 age group, and they wanted to take me on the viewpoints. Like, it's just a 5 minute hike, but it takes you to a place where you can take great photos of the Petra treasury. And this is the place that's really pretty as well. Like, most people have their photos taken here, and you can have like a little bit of coffee on top or tea, and it's a really cute place. But these Bedouin boys were apparently saying that everybody there is kind of their family. Like, most people are related there, like brother, sister, nephew, or whatever, and they do go to school as well. But it's like summer break when I was gone. It was like, yeah, in June, July, but they do go to school. And the rest of the time they do tourism, but their English is really good as well, because they have learned it while being around tourists, and it's so interesting. Yeah, so my first day was mainly doing the monastery hike, doing the main Petra treasury, and it was really tiring because you walk so much and it's very intense. So I got back already around maybe 5 p.m. I think. I was pretty tired, and I was also starving. Eating inside is really expensive. The restaurants inside were like 15 JD for just the average food. But when I ate out, I went out to eat, the food was much cheaper, and really, like, I had like 3 plates of food actually. They gave me like a big plate of like salad, the amazing salad they have normally in Jordan or Middle Eastern countries. They had like a lot of bread, like hummus, and then I had like lamb chops with rice, and I had tea, and I had a dessert. I think the dessert is normally like a baklava or something, but I had watermelon, and this also was like 10 JD or 9 JD, something like that. It was really cheap. So it's much cheaper outside and much better quality, and you really get to choose whatever you want. I think the options were much limited, and I did not like it so much. Anyway, so this was my first day, and I slept in a hostel as well here. It was really nice. I think what I like about Jordan is that they really have only girl hostels. There aren't option of mixed hostels, which I really like, because I love to be in a girl's room, and we had 2 other girls in the room. So I think generally the people in hostels are very few in the Middle Eastern countries, as in European. That's what I felt. So it was not easy to make like trips, if you want to make trips together, because when I was in the Balkans, it felt like you could do like meet someone randomly, meet a group of people, just make a random itinerary to go to a new place, or you could just join someone else if you wanted. But in Jordan it's much harder. People have come with their groups, or it's just not so easy to like join another person. I wanted to do it for Wadi Rum, like if there was another girl coming with me or something, I would have done it, but I couldn't find someone to do it with me. Anyway, the next day I woke up pretty early, so I woke up at around, I think the Petra opens at 6:30 actually, but I reached Petra, the treasury, around 7:30, so I was 1 hour after. And it was really, really nice in the morning. Like, it was so much emptier, very calm, and it was such a beautiful atmosphere. You could take photos on your own. I spoke to all the Bedouin boys because they were all around, and they're so friendly. I really love them. And actually, on the first day, I met this boy, like this Bedouin boy called Hamid, and he told me that he will take me the next day on this beautiful hike. But I couldn't find him the next day, and I was waiting for him for the longest time. I promised him, so I want to go with him. But eventually I just went with another person, and they took me to a beautiful spot to take photographs, and I think I paid like 5 JD or something, but they were like really sweet people and took really great photos. Like, this man was a TikTok influencer, the way he was like taking his videos. By the way, I didn't even know, but TikTok is banned in Jordan, and so is WhatsApp calling. Strangely, I don't know why. I think it's same like Dubai also has no WhatsApp calling, so I don't know, some things are different, I guess. But after this, I did a few more hikes around. So there are like, I think 2-3 other hikes that you can do on your own, and they're very doable. They aren't so long. Like, I think the map told me they were much longer, but I felt it was very doable. And I at least drank 3 cups of tea every single day there. Like, it's a very common thing to drink lots of tea. It's black tea with loads of sugar, but it tastes amazing. And then now we come to the horror part of my story, right? So yeah, after I saw the morning stuff, I was there from like 7:30 till maybe 11. I got really hungry. I went out to eat. I had a great shawarma. It was delicious outside, and you can always go out and re-enter, so it was fine for me. When I re-entered, yeah, I was like, okay, I have nothing much to do now. I have a few more hours to kill because my bus to Amman is at like 5, and I was like maybe 1 or 2, I don't know. And I thought I have a few hours to kill. I'll just put my headphones in, I'll just walk around and enjoy it, you know, for the last time. So that's what my plan was. And it did not go like that. So, oh my god, I also get goosebumps thinking about it. It was such a crazy thing. But I was now heading inside again, and I was in this 1 kilometer stretch in the beginning where all these people with the horses come and ask you for a horse ride. And one of these guys came to me, and I was like tired of resisting, and I was like, you know what, it's just a horse ride, it's the last day, I might as well do it. And I was wearing a skirt on this day, which was not a good idea. It was a wrap skirt which flies in the wind, but it was pretty long, but still. So I went with this horse ride guy, and we agreed on 3 JD, and he was like, yeah, it's fine. I was sitting on the horse, he took photos of me, but he took photos of me also on his phone, not just my phone. So I was a bit confused, but I was like, yeah, I don't care really. I'm gonna not see him anymore. So we just went ahead on the horse ride, and in the end of the horse ride, I paid him, and then he told me, no, he can take me to this Indiana Jones tour, which is like from like a very difficult hiking path, which you can't do alone. You need to have a local. And it's not the first time I heard of it. I heard of this tour like from many other people as well, like asking for this, and I kept saying no, but it's quite common, this tour. Like, it's not something brand new that he told me, but I was really not into it for a long time. But finally he was like, okay, just 10 JD, just pay me, we can go on this tour. So I was like, okay, fine. So we left this horse. It was just me and him walking on this path, and then the walk itself was really hard. Like, there were no steps or like a planned route. It felt like we were just climbing rocks at this point. It was really like not an easy path. And oh my god, and as we got up, I could see that there are people below me, so we're climbing upwards, and there are lots of people, and I felt like it's fine, you know, I'm not scared, because even though it's just me and this man going towards this area, it felt like there are loads of people. If anything happens, I can scream. Like, it wasn't gonna be so isolating, right? And then we reached a bit on the top of this tiny hill, I guess, and then when I look at the other side of the hill, which we are now going down off, that part is an entire expanse of desert, and it's just me and him now, because there's nobody else in that part, and all the people are basically behind me, so I'm not, like, I cannot scream because they can't see me anymore. It's really far up. And I was like telling him I'm not really comfortable here because it's just, you know, us. I would like to go back, but even going back is not easy. Like, I would need him to, not need him, but I would kind of have difficulty going back on my own, you know. It's not really easy, and yeah, it would just be, I don't know, difficult, I guess. And I was just like, yeah, let's go back. And he was like, no, it's just very short, it's only 20 more minutes, you can do it, we can just walk across. And I felt really hard to like waste my opinion, so I was like, yeah, let's go for it then. So we started walking ahead, and as we walk further and further away from the people, we're in total isolation, just me and him. And I'm getting quite paranoid about time, and he wants to take photos of me everywhere, and I thought that's nice. So I was like, yeah, why not? But I was not really enjoying it. I didn't really want any photos. I just wanted to go back. And then we keep walking past this desert. We just see this one place, which is apparently an Indiana Jones movie was shot there. I don't even know this movie. I haven't watched it. I know the name, but no idea what this means to me. And then we keep walking through the desert. And as we are right in the middle of this vast desert, he says, "You're so beautiful." And then I'm dying. I was like, I cannot do this. I do not know what to do. And it was really in my head, like thinking of all the self-defense stuff that I have ever learned in my life and what I should be doing. And it was so scary. Like I was so freaked out, to be honest. And I was trying not to like be anxious and trying to just like, think that it's gonna get over soon. Like I'm gonna reach out of this place soon. But I was having total anxiety here. And as we're walking through this desert, we suddenly reach, and I'm thinking the whole time, like me and this man, it's like 50-50 chance. I can fight him, he can fight me. We have like some chance against one person, right? Then I reach this little hut in the middle of a desert where it's just 6 more men inside this hut, me and this one tour guide here. And then there are like a few like horses or camels there. And they all are like saying hi, hello, and again, you're so beautiful, where are you from? Indians are pretty. And I'm just getting a little more paranoid with each moment passing. And then we take a break right in this hut, and they offer me tea, which was nice, but I was dying. And after a little break, which felt like eons, we finally moved past that area and we reached the spots. The highlights of this tour is supposed to be not just the Indiana Jones area, but also the best viewpoint of the Petra treasury, which is this photo I will put here. But yeah, so this is the highlight. We get a great photo. But that also, I was really anxious at that point, but I was just like, yeah, it's okay. Then we're walking on again to get to the end of this tour, I guess. And he keeps saying that if I don't take money from you, what will you give me? If I give you this tour for free, what are you gonna give me? And I'm just trying to play dumb, like, oh, I have nothing else to give. I just have money. Like, I don't know what you mean. But I was totally dying. And we finally reached the end of the tour where he's like, okay, I'm going to drop you off here because I have to go in the opposite. And he showed me the way down to go to the treasury. And he was like, and I gave him the money and everything. And then he was like, if you want to give me anything else from your heart, you can do so right now. And I am dying. I was like, no, I have nothing else. And he kept like opening his arms like for a hug or something. I don't know. And I just was like, okay, I have to go. And I just left. And he kept saying like, how about I give you 60 camels for your hand in marriage or something like that. And I was just like, okay, bye-bye. And I just ran away. And when I reached back to the treasury, I was just like so relieved because it felt so scary the whole time. Like, I don't know. I mean, what I felt generally in Jordan is that they never really touch you. I feel like I don't feel like any man would ever dare to touch a woman or like things like that. I think they just say a lot of things or like very openly talk or flirt, but I really didn't feel like they would ever touch you. But this is the only place where I felt a bit unsafe. Like, it was quite a scary experience because he kept insisting that I should give him something apart from money. And yeah, I don't know, I felt like it was really intense experience. I didn't feel in the moment that I was really being like naive because I could see people and I did think it would be fine, but it was just too late when I realized that I'm gonna be alone with this guy in the entire hike. So, because in all the routes you always find people, and here is one of the routes that I couldn't find much people going, but also because it's quite a difficult hike, and I think you have to be very intensely sporty to be able to do this kind of intense climbing. It's not for everybody and it's really hard. But eventually at some point I did see a few people around, especially near the beautiful viewpoints, but so few, and I was so paranoid. So I wouldn't recommend doing the Indiana Jones tour unless you're going with a group of people. Even like 2 people is too little, I think. Like a few more people would be fine. And yeah, as a solo woman, I would not recommend at all. It can be really scary, to be honest. And I am glad I made it out alive. But yeah, moving on to the better parts. After this, I head to the jet bus. I bought the ticket exactly on the spot. I did not have any advance tickets. And I reached Amman around maybe 9 p.m. And I again got a shawarma. Actually, I lived on shawarma on this trip. It was amazing. It was just the best thing ever. And after I just stayed in the same hostel. I stayed in Batuta hostel for 2 more nights. So it was a great place to stay, really. It was amazing, so clean, and very few people, which I did not mind. I loved it. And also, a very good thing, they had an amazing breakfast where basically the chef makes the food live, like on the spot for you. So the very next morning, I had an excellent shakshuka. They open at 8 a.m. and she made me the most delicious shakshuka ever. I loved it. And also with like fruits, with dates, with like loads of like sides. It was so good, and it was only for JD, so a win-win. And the next day was going to be my very last day in Jordan, actually, like my last whole day. So on that day, I went to the Dead Sea. So this is by now actually my fourth day in Jordan, and I went to the Dead Sea, and I'm counting the days, yeah. And it was so cool here. Like there's a morning jet bus that goes around maybe 8:30, and then it comes back at 5. Yeah, 5, and you reach back in Amman at 6 basically. So you can spend the whole day there, but you have to go in the Dead Sea to a resort. There is no such thing as an open beach, or there is a small part which is open, but it's so dirty and you can't really swim, and it's not a place to enjoy. Like I think since you spend the whole day there, like 6 hours, it's nice if you pick a resort and that you can really relax and enjoy if you can afford it. I don't think they're so expensive in my opinion, because I saw generally the prices were like 20 JD. The better off ones, like I think Intercontinental and stuff, they were like around 40 or 50 with the food, I guess. But I chose Ramadan, which was the cheapest in my opinion. It was 15 JD for just the pool access, including the beach and everything. But it was 25 with the buffet as well, and I chose this option, and it was amazing. So first you go in there, and I went directly to the beach at first, and it was so cool to float. I really was amazed because you can just lie there and your legs automatically fly up, and it's so nice. The water is a bit like almost, I don't know, it's a bit almost like oily, or it's very, very salty. And yeah, I did not dare to put my eyes, mouth, anything inside because it really stings. I did a bit of a silly choice of like shaving before going in, but it still wasn't the worst. It does prickle a bit, but it's not the worst. It's okay, it's manageable. And they also have this mud from the Dead Sea, which you can like slather all over yourself and let it dry for maybe 10 minutes. And this apparently is also the lowest point on Earth. I do not know how many meters deep, but it's the lowest point on Earth as well, which is interesting. And yeah, you can of course like swim afterwards and take off all of the mud, and it's so nice in there. I was enjoying it too much, really. It was so cool. I did hear that you should wear a lot of like black bikini or swimsuits or whatever there. So I did carry my black ones, and so did everybody else. Like nobody else I saw wore colored. Everyone wore the black ones, so everyone knew this apparently. That they did their research. And it was lovely there. So I spent like maybe an hour-ish there, and I got back, and I rested by the pool area. It was really nice. They had a jacuzzi, like, is it called a jacuzzi? What's it called? A whirlpool, or with the bubbles, you get it. And it was really nice. They all were swimming there. It was a cool area, nice to read as well. And you can wear a bikini inside the hotel. I think if you're in the public beach, it maybe is a bit more awkward to wear like, yeah, bikini, but I think inside it was fine. And also I went for the buffet, which was delicious. I ate like 4 plates. It was amazing. They had lots of great like Jordanian food. I think they, yeah, I mean, the salad was amazing. The food was also pretty good, and the dessert was my favorite. I don't know what it's called, but this like bread pudding kind of dessert was amazing. And yeah, that was very nice. And after this massive meal, I went to the Dead Sea again, and I just relaxed while I was floating, and it felt perfect. Like I was just sleeping on the water. It was so gorgeous, and I just didn't want to leave ever. But of course, I was like gonna get burned, so I was pretty scared about that. So I left after like, so I spent maybe about like, usually durations of like 30 minutes inside. I think more than that can be quite too hot and too prickling, and maybe not a good idea, I don't know. And that was the end of my day in the Dead Sea. And then I just got back to Jordan. I just ate, not Jordan, Amman, sorry. And I just ate, and I spent the evening in the hostel because I was pretty tired by this time. I've been like being about and on about the whole time, like all the 5 days. So it was pretty intense. And yeah, on the last day I just left really early in the morning, around 5:30, and of course this taxi guy, who I highly recommend, he came to pick me up. He was amazing, and that's where my trip ended. and I spent all of my JD like in currency. The good thing about this place is that you can actually, most of the stuff you can do with the credit card. You don't really need cash. But if you're doing like, I guess if you go on the bus, or like if you want to buy souvenirs and stuff, you might need like cash. But most of the time, card works perfectly fine. So it's a very easy place to get around by. I really think for tourism, it's done pretty well. Like you can do tourism quite easily in this place. They made the system to work quite well for tourism, in my opinion. And just everything about this place, I am in love. I think really I have to say it's my favorite country I visited this year. Like there is no feeling like being in Jordan. I am so in love with the locals. Like even though I had like one minutely bad experience, I feel like everything else was 1,000 times better. So I cannot complain. Like all the locals were such like, it felt like they were my brothers. Like, they treated me so nicely and like made sure I was safe and like cared for, and they were just so caring. And I never ever felt like really scared with them, to be honest. And they were also just genuinely very nice people. It was unfortunate that I didn't meet many like local women. Like I met two of them from the hostel, I would say, because they were like working there. But yeah, it's not very easy to meet local women, but I think the men are definitely quite easy. They're all around. Yeah, it was such a cool place. I really cannot say anything bad about it. They speak very good English as well. Like I think, yeah, most people spoke very good English. The food, delicious. Yeah, I think also it's very affordable. Like from what I calculated, the total amount I spent on my very budget trip was 425 euros. That was my total, which I think is pretty cheap for such a country. And I did get insurance and flights included in this price as well. So I think it went really well. Like my trip in Jordan was mind-blowing. It was amazing, and I highly recommend this country. Like your travel is incomplete without going to Jordan. Like it's such a different experience, and I have no words. It's the coolest place I've been to, and whenever I tell my stories about Jordan to anyone, they're all in awe and want to travel as well. I think it's a must-do, and definitely a very, very easy place to get around. It's not that difficult. You have to do some research, of course, but very accessible to tourists. And that is the end of this episode. I hope that this inspires you to go to this country, because you cannot miss out. It is amazing. And if you enjoyed this, please give it a like, subscribe, and watch the video of my Jordan vlog over here. See you.